Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video will be a quick one. It's also the last one in my series of 2024 setup videos, and this is the Hobonichi weeks. As you probably know, I picked up the yellow one this year. I didn't have a use in mind for it because I knew it wasn't going to work for me as my main planner. That's what my take a note is for, but I couldn't bear to not have Hobonichi weeks. I've had one every year since 2018 and I knew I would find a use for it, and I did. I went back to an old use for the Hobonichi weeks that I did probably last in maybe 2020, and that's all around kind of health and fitness, and I've also kept my finance pages in the back, which we'll come to in a bit. So like I say, this is just the yellow, it's the standard size, not the mega. I did buy a new cover on cover from a local store because the ones that I had are starting to kind of degrade. They kind of on the end here, because the cover kind of sticks out. When you do lay it like that over time, it does break, so I picked up a shiny new cover. But beyond that, I've not really done anything in terms of decorating. This is a very simple setup. This is all about functionality, so that is why it will be a quick video. But I wanted to kind of show you it in case you are wanting to give a bit more focus to your health and well-being or fitness, whatever it might be. Maybe you've got a big weight loss goal or you're training for a marathon, whatever it is. I do find this planner is actually really good for that, so I wanted to show how I use it, give you some ideas maybe. So first up, we have the yearly overview pages. I'm effectively using these in exactly the same way as I did last year, and this is just for my cycle tracking. It's a easy use for these pages, and it's a really quick, easy way to track it, see it at a glance, know it, so that, you know, if a doctor asks when your last one was, you can easily refer to it. This last year I did use for things like when certain things were due, like eye tests or contact lens checks. I've not done that this year. It is in a different planner, so this is purely for that. I will talk about the tabs actually just while I'm here. So these are post-it tabs with black and white icons from my store. I do like to have tabs with kind of little stickers on it rather than writing out the words. I don't like my writing on tabs, and I didn't want to make new stickers. I thought, actually, you know what, I've probably got some cute little stickers that will work, and I did. So that's those. Moving on to the other yearly overview page. So this is a setup that I have used previously. I did use it in a similar way last year, but what I did was I tracked my weight whenever I weighed, wasn't necessarily every day. And then what I used this section for was to basically write the kind of lowest weight of the month, or every time I'd lost weight, it got written in there. So some months, if you saw my flip throughs, you'll know that I just did not lose any weight at all, and it kind of came back around here. So it didn't necessarily get filled up. What I'm doing this year is going back to what I did a couple of years ago and effectively turning this into a graph. So what I'll do is I will mark out different weights, kind of lowest to highest along here. So I'll probably take my starting weight at the start of the year, so roughly 65 kgs, and probably go down 64, 63, etc. What I will then do is just do a little point according to what my lowest weight of that month is. And what I found when I did this in 2020, when it was a fitness planner, is it created a really nice graph towards the end of the year that showed a lovely bit of weight loss. I don't need to lose as much weight as I was in 2020. I was aiming to lose, I think it was like 6.6 kilos, effectively 10% of my weight. I'm not aiming to lose that much this time around. So what I'm hoping is there'll be a nice kind of reduce, and then just a nice kind of leveling out as I go into maintenance mode. But I did really enjoy having that visual representation of what my weight's doing. How I did it last year just didn't work for me in the same way, so that's the plan for this year. Obviously we're only halfway through January, so not much has happened there in terms of writing out the weights, but I will fill that in probably at the end of Jan when I do my first point. Next we go on to the monthlies. So this is purely used for exercise logging and steps logging. So how I've started using this is I'll color code my different activities. So whether it be squash, run, weights, whatever, there'll be a different color according to what activity I've done. I will then write in the calories burned during that activity. So this one I have done the highlight, but because you need to leave it to dry, I tend to highlight it and then come back to it a couple of days later, so I need to do that. So this is squash, so these are the times that I've played squash, and this was the calorie burn. I then just write the steps underneath. If the day's blank, it's because I didn't wear my watch. And yeah, it's as simple as that. Nothing, you know, too crazy, too fancy, but just a nice visual representation of the exercise that I've done. It'll help me to very easily see, have I hit my target of 4 kinds of exercise at work? Well, 4 activities a week. Doesn't have to be different ones. So far, no. But this whole setup allows me to do that, and again is very similar to how I had it set up in 2020. I think it was 2020, yeah it was. And as I do more exercise, so at the moment I'm just playing squash, but as the weather gets better I'll get back into running, and when we have our home gym set up, when we move house, I'll be able to bring in weights and on the bike and things like that. So this should in later months end up looking really nice and colourful. Then in terms of the weeklies, so how I'm using these is, this is now kind of the food side of things, or kind of the calorie counting. So I do use MyFitnessPal. I do find it works really well. I also find that diets don't work for me. So I do have a calorie goal, but I'm not hugely kind of precious about it. I know that I can get away with not hitting it a couple of times a week, so I don't beat myself up too much about it. I know that particularly initially the weight can drop off quite quickly, and because I'm not trying to lose a huge amount of weight, it doesn't have to be, you know, crazy 1200 calories a day or anything like that. I also know that I can put the work in terms of exercise to offset the majority of what I eat most days, because aside from kind of the odd big meal out or day drinking, my eating habits aren't that bad, partly because when I did the work in 2020 to lose the weight, I did it through adapting good eating habits that I've just pretty much maintained. So that's kind of the background around my calorie counting, and how I've been laying out these days, or how I've been filling these out, is obviously if it's a cheat day. So my definition of a cheat day is where I just haven't logged it. Maybe I've had a few meals out, or I've been drinking or something like that. Then I will just write in cheat day rather than trying to log it all on MyFitnessPal and trying to work out what the restaurant meal is, because I know that I've blown my calories, and that's fine. I don't mind that. I'm happy to have a few cheat days, like I say, not precious about hitting the calorie goal every single day. What I'll do in the kind of left hand column is I'll write my total calorie intake for the day. I will then write in the middle column how many calories I've burnt through any kind of exercise, and then on the right hand side I will write how many calories I was either under or over at the end of the day according to my MyFitnessPal calorie goal. And that's just how I've been using it for the first couple of weeks. I've then been using the right hand side, which is why I've been covering it, for a little bit of light journaling. Nothing massive. It's nothing I have been, or it's not something I've been good at before, but it's just a bit of an experiment really. Can I get into the habit of doing some daily writing? Not too sure, we'll see. So far so good. I'm kind of 2 weeks in and I'm up to date, but there's no real plan with it. It's just a write about my day. It might be how I felt, what I did, might relate to health and fitness. It might be, you know, had a really good day, only kind of had healthy snacks, came home, did a big walk, anything really. It might evolve over time, but for the time being I thought, you know what, I've got some spare space. It's always something that I've wanted to do a bit more of, and hopefully having the regular space will help me be consistent. Obviously last year in my weeks I used the little kind of square for a little bit of highlight of the day or whatever, and I feel like that was a kind of good intro. And then this year I'm going to try and write a bit more and just flesh it out, and hopefully kind of over time it might build up, and in a couple of years I might be filling a cousin with lots of daily journaling, who knows, but that's the idea anyway. Finally, we are onto the finance pages, and this isn't something I'm going to be obviously sharing huge amounts on for obvious reasons, but I wanted to give you an idea because I haven't done too much on the channel about how I do my budgeting and my finance planning, but I wanted to give a bit of insight into how I do it and why I've maintained the weeks for it. because it could have been very easy for me to not order a week's this year and do the fitness planning in my take a note, but I knew I wanted to buy weeks because I just couldn't bear not to have one, but also I knew that using these pages for finance, it works, and I wanted to continue it. So left hand side of the page is just to set up the month. So as you can see, I have the month. I then basically list out my income. So I have my salary from my job, but then I also have obviously other payments across the month, whether it be affiliate income or AdSense or Etsy, and this is the space just to log it. I then have the other kind of category, or the main categories of outgoings. So how I kind of split this out now, because I have a joint account with my partner, and so what we do is each month when we get paid, we just transfer a set amount to cover all household expenses, from groceries to all bills. So now it's quite neat because I just have that one effective house payment, I have my car payment, and then I have a couple of other bills like Spotify. That's it for my kind of set outgoings now, so it's quite clean in comparison to what it used to be before. There was a whole list of all of my direct debits and regular payments and things, and I had all of that kind of lined out and tracked. Now I just have 3, and then I have 3 budget areas. So I have eating out, because obviously my grocery stuff is all within there and it's budgeted for. So I have eating out, I have what I call other, which is basically any kind of discretionary spends. And so if I buy clothes or something from Boots or new planner things, or there's a planner no spend going on, that would fall under that category. And then I have travel within there, and that is basically taxi rides, petrol, parking, and I have budgets for each of those areas. And then what I do, and part of the reason why the weeks just works in terms of the size of the page, is I then track every single spend. Absolutely everything that goes out of a non-credit card account gets tracked here, and it's color coded. So black is anything shop and travel. I don't have a budget for shop because it really kind of depends on how busy the shop is. I'll obviously need to buy more sticker paper if I'm busier, and so I don't really do a budget there because my budget doesn't factor in any assumed income from Etsy, so it always balances out, or obviously end up because I spend less than what I make, or in theory. So yeah, but I still log it for obvious reasons because I need to do my accounts. Red is for food, blue is for the other bucket, so any spends, and then I do use black because I use my Hobonichi pen and I only have 3 colours. I use black for travel, which it's easy enough to split through when I'm kind of doing my weekly check-ins. I then just kind of tick, so I have 3 columns. I've done this for so long now, I don't need to write out the columns. I then just have a column for eating out, other, travel / shop. And then at the end of, well, I say at the end of every week, so on a Friday, because I get paid every 4 weeks, so my payday is always a Friday. So what I do is I do my budget check-in on a Friday, and I add up the spend so far for the week, and basically will tot up what I've spent so far and what I've got left. This month I'm trying to be really harsh with myself with my spends and really have a cheap month, partly because my car insurance is due and it costs an absolute fortune, but partly because we're moving, so I am trying to be a lot better with money. But what I will do on a Friday is add it all up, and yeah, I'd say, you know, if I've spent 50 quid on eating out, right, I've got 150 left for the next 3 weeks, and so on and so forth. I then have this free space for anything else really, which won't happen a lot this month. Car tax and car insurance would just get a separate kind of nod and, you know, note made. And then at the end of the month, I basically do a reconciliation. What have I spent? What's been my income? What is my net left? And then I would look at, okay, how much needs to go into savings? Do I need to pay off any credit card bits? So the credit card I only really use for travel. So our flights to Japan, they went on the credit card, so that'll get paid off. And just kind of, that's the space to calculate it really. And then I know what I've got, what's gone into savings. I have a spreadsheet on Google Sheets that has everything for the year, so I know exactly what's in my savings, what I've been saving each month. But the day-to-day doing of finances and budgeting is all in here. And that's it for the setup. hopefully that was useful. Hopefully you got something from that. Let me know if you have any questions on my setup or how I use it. It's, like I say, it's only a few weeks in, but it's pretty much how I've used it in the past, and like I say, it did find it worked really well. I've obviously made a few tweaks this time round, but so far so good. I will do check-ins on this if you want to hear more about either budget planning or how I do kind of my fitness planning, or you know, I don't call it dieting, but anything around that. Just let me know in the comments. I'll be more than happy to do kind of follow-up videos, whether it be quarterly check-ins or whatever. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.